Hello and welcome to another edition of SAFC Fan TV live, back again on Thursday night. So games are coming thick and fast, aren't they? So the last few weeks, so there'll be a lot to talk about tonight. So joining us on the show tonight, we've got the Mad Mistake. Terry, how are you doing, matey?
Champion, aye, champion. Just been down to see him for a nice fish and chip supper in the new Bell's restaurant. So I'm going to do a review. I've got a video coming up with the channel for that one.
Nice one. I bet it was a bit cold down there, was it?
It was blowing a hoolie. The waves have come right out of the lighthouse. It was class. Love it.
Should have getting some pictures.
Got a video instead.
Also on the show tonight, we've got live from down south. We've got Jacob Kirkbride. Jacob, good to see you, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Obviously disappointed how it turned out on Tuesday with the effort the lads put in, but I'm sure we'll discuss that as the show goes on tonight. But yeah, I'm doing not too bad, Wayne. Thanks for asking.
Nice one. Good to see you on the show. And last but not least, we've got Jack Shields. Jack, evening, mate. How's things going? How's your weekend?
Yeah, not too bad. Dragging, to be fair. I mean, seems like it's been this week forever. Can't wait for the weekend. Plenty to talk about. Not much happening in terms of results for us, but I'm sure we'll go into that over the next hour or so.
Yes, a lot to discuss over the next hour. Don't forget you can get involved via the live chat. Get your comments in there and we'll try and read them out best we can. We'll try and read as many out as we can. Already in there is Bulldog Fitness. Says, how are the lads? Colin Major says, good evening, lads. Robert Forster, hi, everybody. David Joblin, good evening, lads. Mickey Max in there, evening, everybody. Bulldog Fitness again, evening, gents. David says, evening. Ryan McCormack, good evening, gentlemen. And Carl says, hi, all. So, also don't forget as well, before we start, you can see Jacob's modelling our Toffs top there. So, we are sponsored by Toffs this season, who have got this discount. So, descriptions in the description below of where you can get that discount and what the discount is. SAFEN 15 for a 15% discount. So, we'll make a start straight away. As I said, we've got quite a bit to talk about tonight. So, following our defeat against Borough, we headed to Stoke last weekend, looking to get back on track. Made two changes to the side. Ekwa came in and Pritchard came in. Ekwa and Pritchard came in for Dan Neal and Mason Burstow. So we went into the game without any centre forwards. So Jack, when you're seeing that team line up with no centre forwards against a struggling Stoke side, what was your thoughts when you're seeing that?
Yeah, it was. We're in a difficult position, aren't we? Because we've played probably our best football last season without a striker, but now we're crying out for one, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? And it wouldn't have been something I've done, but in the same sense as well, Burstow hasn't done that much, really, has he? I mean, I keep thinking, this is the game where he's gonna turn up and have a blinder, and he flatters to deceive quite a lot. So it's a bit of a difficult one. I mean, I personally would always like some sort of an out-and-out striker on the pitch, particularly against Stoke, a physical team, an athletic team. You know what you're going to get from them. They're going to be in your faces. Maybe as an out ball, but is Burstow that out ball? Do you know what I mean? It could have been that player that held it up, but it wouldn't be something I would do. But I can sort of a little bit understand what Tony Mowbray was thinking.
I was quite surprised when I seen it, mine. Against the team struggling, like you say, struggling for form and struggling for points. I think he would have went down there and attacked. So, Terry, when you're saying that formation and obviously going to the game with that when he's forwards, do you think it was a bad move by Tony Mowbray, or I think he was just forceful to do it?
I think it was just, but he said all along, hasn't he? He said all along about the strikers at the moment, about Rushan not being ready. He's got this language barrier, and he's just not, not showing as much on the training pitch. And he said about Semedo again. He's going to be a next season sort of product from, and Mienda's nowhere near fit. So we left with Burstow. So it was either Burstow or go back to what try and test it of last season. We had a load of midfielders, and I was happy to have Ekwa and Pritchard back. So on the day when I saw the team news, even though I was a bit, there's no striker, I was still happy that those two prominent figures were back,
Aye. We're trying to get back, reverted back to last year's kind of formation, didn't we? It worked well for us in spells last season. Didn't address that in the summer. So Jacob, we signed, I think it was 3 or 4 strikers in the summer, but didn't get the experienced one. And that kind of showed in the lineup on Saturday against Stoke. So what was your thoughts when you seen the team lineup?
To be honest, like what Terry said, I was pleased to see the likes of Ekwa back in. I think that was the main priority. We found a way. I know fitness would have been an issue, but to get him back in the side ASAP, because we missed him the last few games. But on the striker situation, based on Burstow's performance in the previous game against Borough, you know what, I sort of kind of backed Mowbray's decision in a way. I know people are on about the likes of maybe Rushin getting a look in, and also, I mean, I don't know what the fitness update is with Mienda at the minute. It doesn't look like he's going to be back anytime soon. But yeah, right now, and considering also the fact he's playing Abdullah up front sometimes as well. And I thought with what we had available and based on Stoke's form, I wasn't really too fussed. But as the game went along, it cleared. It was, apologies there, I can't remember that. It was more clear that there was fitness issues that we had in the squads regarding our performance. We struggled as the game went along, to link up good attacking play in the final third. Our passing in the midfield was sloppy. And yeah, we just seemed to run out of ideas. I know the referee was very poor once again, blatant handball for Stoke's first goal, but we should have done better once we equalised to take advantage of that. And it's another sloppy goal from a set piece, and obviously another conceded at Leicester on Tuesday, which we'll come on to a little bit later on. But yeah, wasn't too fussed going into that Stoke game about the strikers situation, but now I think the way how it's panning out the season, it could come back with that recruitment model that's currently in works.
I think it's got everybody up in arms at the moment. This not signing that striker, but we've been on about that for 2 years now and it hasn't been addressed. Currently got 55 people watching, 14 likes. So if you don't mind, please hit that like button. Try and get 100 before the end of the show, like we always say. And like Jacob's just touched on there, the first 5, 6, 7 minutes into the game, it's a blatant handball. Referee's missed it and he took it away. Terry, your thoughts on the first goal? How's the referee missed it and how's the linesman missed it? I think everybody in the ground, apart from the linesman and the referee, saw it was a blatant handball.
You kind of excuse the referee to a certain extent because he's behind the player. And when you see the angle from behind the referee, you can't actually see the ball come down on his arm. So the referee's behind the player, directly behind the player. But the linesman, I mean, what do the linesmen actually get paid for? Do they actually watch the game of football? Because he's in the best position to see it, and he just blatantly didn't want to give any kind of take any responsibility for a decision where you can see clearly it was a penalty. Sorry, clearly it was a handball. But I mean, end of the day, we got that situation through sloppy passing, lethargic play. We didn't turn up against Stoke, did we? We all thought we beat Stoke. We just didn't turn up, simple as, we were all over the shop. Mowbray alluded to sort of having no training and the weather and everything that's gone on before that weekend, and how a lot of players seem to need a good slap before they come out because they're not. How can a player not be ready or up for a game of football? It keeps on going on about some of these players who need a good shake before they go out to get on the pitch because they're half asleep. What are they getting paid for? I'm bamboozled by how a player is so laid back when he goes on the football pitch that he's not ready for a game of football. I'm starting to get pissed off with that excuse now.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. I mean, some of his comments after the game was quite strange. Jacob, you want in there?
Yeah, I mean, I knew going into that Stoke game it was always going to be a different sort of game of what we're used to. I thought up against Leicester on Tuesday, the quality Leicester have, it would bring the best out of our players, if you know what I mean, in terms of the styles we both play at. But that Stoke game, I just knew it was because Mowbray, he's the sort of manager which, fair play to him, it's got us good results with where we finished last season. But from the evidence we've seen so far, he doesn't like to change tactically for whoever we're up against. Obviously, it was point proven in the second leg of the playoffs against Luton last season. I know that we had a lot of injuries then, but if we'd tweaked it a bit, slowed the game down a bit, adjusted our style to suit the opposition, we may have got something out. And it was the same on Saturday. Stoke won't change the way they play. They're a physical command inside, and with the inexperience and physicality we've got amongst our squad at the minute, obviously I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, because obviously these players are still learning their trade. and Stoke tactically worked this out, and it was a set piece that undone us. But based on the performance overall, we shouldn't have lost the game, I should say. At least a draw, a bit like Tuesday.
Yeah. Terry, did you want in there?
Yeah, just quickly. I mean, we did miss Dan Neil massively for the Stoke match. He was a massive miss in the middle of the park. You could tell on the game against Leicester the difference. Now, if we played like we did against Leicester against Stoke, I feel we could have come away with something, because I think Stoke were no flash, to be fair. You know, they weren't much better than Sunderland. We were just sloppy in our passing.
Yeah. Jack, obviously we conceded the early goal. You know, we've just been seeing that blatant penalty, but then we get back in the game. You know, Jack Clark straight away from great play from Joby, really. But you know, on the base of the first half, it was clear that I think, you know, Ekwa was playing and he wasn't fit anywhere near fit. I think he looked tired from the start. What was your thoughts on the first half?
Well, I thought definite handball. I mean, you can see not only did he handball it, he actually sort of controlled it with his hand and put it, and he was enabled. He sort of angled his hand so it dropped on the floor, lovely from running into slotting it in the back of the net. So it wasn't just a handball. He actually handled it, controlled it, and almost passed it down with his hand from slotting it in. Like Terry's touched on, how the official on the side can't see that, I really don't know. But yeah, we were just flat in the whole game, not just the first half. I felt we never really got going. Having said that, I agree with what Jacob said. I don't think it was a very good game of football. I thought Stoke was scrappy as well. It was a very poor quality game of football. And I think it struck me how one-dimensional we are. When it's an open game and teams are coming at us and it's a quick game and we can get on the ball and play football, we're brilliant. But if a game's not going like that, we're struggling, let's be honest. And to be a team that gets promotion out of this league, you have to be able to win a game a few ways. You have to be able to grind a game out. You have to be able to be physical and win a game that way as well. And I don't think we're capable of doing that at the minute. I think we're a little bit, nice and good, pretty football and nice game. But when the game's getting tough and physical and difficult, we're shying away. And in the championships like that, and teams are going to work us out, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? So it was really disappointing, because I don't think Stoke were up for much at all. It was a poor game of football. It's even more sickening when you come away from it with nothing.
Aye, 100%. Very quickly back in the chat, Robert Foster says, why isn't Mowbray playing one of our 4 strikers? He also says too many defeats, and as much as we think Mowbray's achieved, I think we'll have a young foreign coach soon. And there's been a few things on social media about wanting Tony Mowbray out, but I think that's a little bit over the top, shall we say. Bulldog Fitness has said, why not start Benetti? I'm not sure if he's actually injured. Mayenda played
at the minute.
I think he is there. Mayenda played for the 21s against Hibs on Monday. David says, do we actually play to suit a centre forward? Colin Major says, do you think Mayenda will be on the bench on Saturday? Emma's in there. Evening, lads. Sorry in late. Hope you're all well. Hello, Emma. How are you doing? John Nesbitt. Evening, lads. It's not just a striker problem. 09 is becoming a liability. Strange we have a manager who has a decent centre-half, yet can't or won't play a centre-half, favours 09, which is bizarre. And Keno says, Stoke are a poor watch. Same last night against Leeds. So, Jack, based on that, we equalised, but again, it was pretty much of a nothing first half. It was even, and then you think Tony Mowbray might get them in half-time and tweak some things and maybe sort us out. And then 2 minutes into the second half, set piece, Ekwa loses his man. They out jump at the far post and it's 2-1. Sloppy again from a set piece. And it like just what was being said in the chat there. Is it because we keep getting caught out by 09 playing in centre half? Should we have a centre half in there, or a recognised centre half?
Well, I think 09 seems to just get a game regardless, doesn't he? His first name on the team sheet, but the problem is with Luke 09, he doesn't really hold a position down. In my opinion, he should be more used as a utility man. And every time he has a bad game, people say, "Oh, it's because he's not a centre back," and then he'll play it right back. It's because he's not a right back, and then the odd game he goes in centre midfield. It's because he's not a centre midfield. I don't think he's the only problem, to be fair, though, Wayne. I've been critical of 09 quite a lot. He's not the only problem with set pieces. It seems to me like we're are we doing zonal marking? Terry might be more. Looks like we're marking zonally. The problem with that is, when a player comes from one zone into another, I think we're not sure who to pick up, who picks them up. Like it happened I know we're talking about the Stoke game, but it happened on Tuesday night, didn't it? The lad sort of moved and nobody really picked him up. And there he is plonking a header in front of goal, and it ends up being the winning goal. So whether or not that's the right way to go for us, I don't know. I don't think O'Nien is going to have that much of a future at Sunderland. I think he's limiting his potential now, isn't he? You know, Luke O'Nien is probably at best, in my opinion, a top half Championship player. Having said that, I don't think he was completely to blame. I think it's the system. I think the system that we're playing, particularly from set pieces, it just isn't working whatsoever. And I think it's how many goals were conceded from set pieces already this season? Is it something like 6, 7, 8? It's quite a few. You talk Cardiff scored from there, Stoke, Leicester. It's costing us points, so it needs urgently addressing.
Yeah, 100%. Like you say, but with Mowbray, he just loves O'Nien, loves him in the side. Which, yes, he's gives 100% and he's enthusiastic and he's Mr. Sunderland. But in terms of ability, is it time now to be playing the likes of Sale or giving Triantis a go and play a recognised centre half? Terry?
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, the problem we got with Luke O'Nien is his captain, isn't he? I don't think he's going to drop the captain. So I'm afraid I think Luke O'Nien's there for a long time until he gets injured, until we ship a few goals in a game. So I think he's there. The problem we got also is the other centre halves aren't ready yet, are they? And they may not even be good enough. We don't know. I mean, we've gone down this model of buying in players, and we look at the 4 strikers. I know Mbienda has never had an opportunity to shine yet, but when he did come in, he only played for the B team in France. We got Semedo, who only played for the 23s in Portugal. Both of them cost like 800 grand each or something. Then you've got Rusin, who's playing in a poor league, to be honest, and he's not ready yet. And then you've got Burstow, I think Burstow was a panic last minute loan from Chelsea because we'll get rid of Ross Stewart. So to be fair, I think we're being let down in that department. And I think if the recruitment, if one of them doesn't shine, the recruitment will probably know at the end of the season they've let the team down. And Tony Mowbray might be thinking the same thing. So that's the reason why I think he's going to be stubborn and he's not going to play any of the strikers until he really has to. And according to what you were saying before in the press conference today, Rushan's not even anywhere near ready.
No. See, on his press conference today, he kind of said some quite interesting things about the centre forwards. He kind of said there were the young lads still learning the trade. They're still getting used to the intensity of English football, like reading between the lines, like not putting the work in training. Rosian is struggling with the language and still trying to adapt to England. And he said, interestingly enough, he said if they were taking the back of the net off in training every day, he would put them in. So to me, it seems that they're not doing it in training either. So read into that what you will. Jacob?
Going back to the 09 thing, Wayne, one thing is for sure, I know obviously he's captain, but the players do respond better when 09 is on the pitch. I know he might not be fully at his best on a defensive point of view at this moment in time, but maybe to accommodate that, I mean, I don't know what you guys think. Could we switch from a 4 to a 3 at the back maybe and utilise the threat we've got out wide a little bit more? I mean, I don't know. It's a question of who comes in to complete that defensive partnership, adding to Ballard and 09. Will it be Triantis or Silt? Most likely Silt because he's played more minutes. But yeah, that's just personally a suggestion what you could do as if we continue to this thing we're doing at the minute, which is not keeping clean sheets. Terry?
Yeah, Terry? Muted.
He's on mute.
Muted.
As I was talking to myself to say now, I don't even think it brings Slate and Triantis in. I think it put Dennis Cirkin there, if anybody. I don't think he thinks those two are ready. I think those two are like just if a centre back gets injured, then they'll start.
Well, Terry, to be honest, I wouldn't mind. There's times where Cirkin has played as a centre half for us, and I actually thought,
oh yeah, I like him. Yeah.
He's actually done pretty well there. If he plays left back at times, he doesn't know what's behind him. He's caught a little bit too far up the pitch, but now he's back. Consider he came on Tuesday. I would like to see Cirkin back in the team. I think on that left where he likes to play, and then play Huggins on the other side, because I think I've disagreed with people on this personally, but I think Trey Hume is not being the same player as what he was last season, if I'm brutally honest.
No, 100%. I think he seems to get caught out of position quite a lot this season. Whether that's the way Tony Mowbray has got him playing, I'm not sure. But Jack, based on, now we're going slightly off topic, but the signings that we've made in the summer, I think there's one Joby, who's actually playing out of all the players that we signed. So is that, a reflection on a poor transfer window then?
I think it's part of the problem when you're signing young, unproven players. You know what I mean? You're taking a chance, aren't you? I mean, that's why you pay more for the proven, even at this level, Championship players, because you know they're going to be fit, you know they're going to slot right in, you know they've got experience. There's no question mark over it. The model that we're going down now is it is rolling the dice a little bit with these players, and hope you get one good player that develops into something, improves, and maybe is a selling, can be sold up and go on to develop quickly. So you are taking a risk. I don't think I haven't seen that much of the players that we signed this window, so I can't really give that much of an opinion on much of them. Obviously, Job's been brilliant in spells, but I thought he was poor on Tuesday night. You know what I mean? I thought he did absolutely nothing. Personally, I thought he was one of the only ones that really didn't do much, because I thought going forward we had a lot of chances and a lot of the ball, but I didn't think he actually did that much. He looked a bit leggy. So that is the model that we're going down, but it means that you are taking a chance, and at the minute it's taken them a while to get going. I didn't think it would take them this long. I mean, we're back end of October now, and some of them haven't played at all. So Rushin, I'm really been disappointed by his lack of minutes at the minute.
Yeah, me as well. He's just not adapting. Apparently, he's struggled to come to terms with life in England.
But not just that, Wayne, but Rushin, we've only played him on the right-hand side. It's like where Roberts plays. He's supposed to be a striker. He should be down the middle, shouldn't he?
Is he a striker? Or is he a false nine?
There's a lot of varying reports to say that he's not a striker, or he plays better on the left or the right. But I thought we bought him as a centre forward. So
he used to play from, I think it was it Dynamo Kiev. He played left wing when they were in the Champions League. So yeah, I don't know where we've brought him in to play.
Very quickly back in the chat, David Jobbins says we shouldn't have sold Danny Batt. 100%. Robert Foster will go to a 6'5" centre half in seat. Why is he not playing? Emma says if we drop to a 9, who would be captain? Good shout.
Ballard for me. I'd just give it to Ballard.
Aye. 9 wasn't to blame for the goal on Tuesday. It was Martin Vestergaard. Be interesting to see if the other lads are good enough. John Ruddick says Mowbray is frustrated because he never signed them. He would have went for more experienced players. Ryan McCormack says I don't understand the subs that Mowbray did versus Leicester. John Nesbitt agrees with Jack. Spot on, Jack. Bulldog Fitness says Ballard's on 4 yellows, 1 more, and he's suspended. So after 60 odd minutes, we then made 3 changes. We brought Burstow, Dak, and Rushin on, and to be honest with you, they didn't really have much of an impact. I don't know what you're saying in that last half an hour from them 3 to actually suggest that they could have actually made a change. Dak didn't look fit, never got involved at all, did he, Jacob?
No, Dak, like you said, it was the same also with Ekwa during the game. Same with Tuesday. Ekwa, right now, he's still finding his fitness. Dak, the same problem. But, it feels like since we've signed Dak, we've played him sort of more on the left, which I don't get that at all, really. He's normally just lurking out. When he played for Blackburn, he was sort of in that number 10 role all the time, lurking outside the penalty box, supplying the creativity. And yeah, Rushin, who came on, I don't get what he was doing on that right-hand side in the latter stages at Stoke. I really don't. He was out-bullied by their left-back most of the time, and he couldn't find his feet. I think it was the wrong sort of game for him to make an impact in. I think if he was going to get minutes, I think the Leicester game would have suited him a little bit more. Going back to the point I made in terms of the way how Leicester play, I think that would have got a little bit more out of him. But obviously he went against that. He brought Pritchard and Rigg on Tuesday night instead.
Aye. Strange sudden. He's getting criticised as well, isn't he, for his substitutes in recent games as well. But Jack, what was your thoughts on them 3 coming on? Did they really have much of an impact? I didn't think they really did. Actually, it was pretty much of a muchness.
Well, what I was more concerned at with Bradley Dack was the size of him. He looks like he swallowed a couch. He looks like he swallowed somebody's settee when he come on. Because I looked at him, I thought, what's he been doing in the last few weeks? Has he been out partying with his lass? I know his lass is on one of them daft reality shows. Is he been out with her or something? Because he looked really out of shape. And mind you, we did put a decent free kick in. Was it him that put the free kick in when we hit the bar? Was it, or the post or whatever it was?
Yeah, that's the main reason why he was on, I think, for set pieces.
Possibly. Rushan, I agree. Rushan looked out of sorts. He looked like he was well short of match fitness. He didn't look like he was involved in the game whatsoever. He looked a little bit lack of hunger for me as well. Looked like he didn't really want to get in the game. Maybe it was a bit too physical. 2-1 down. He didn't really fancy it, in terms of actually doing anything. And Burstow, I want to get behind Burstow, but something's telling me that he's not right for us. He's going to be a good player in maybe 3 or 4 years' time, but it's no good for us right now. So yeah, we didn't have anything all game, to be fair. But having said that, as I go back to it, it was a really poor game of football, and I think when you're in a poor game of football, you try and not lose. And unfortunately, we did lose. It's really disappointing when you lose from that sort of situation.
Yeah, we kind of felt that we fell into their trap. We've come down to their level. Terry, your thoughts on the 3 subs? Didn't really make much of an impact, and could he have brought anybody else on that was on the bench to make maybe have more of a difference?
Yeah, I mean, exactly the same what the lads have said, but I'm going to say, if Dak gets injured one more time, I just could get rid of his contract. I think, for me, just complete waste of time. If he's going to be injured all the time, what's the point of having him in the pit, having him on the side, or having him in the team, or if we should get somebody else completely. I haven't got a problem, really, with Luke going 9, to be fair. I mean, I've seen him putting some meaty challenges in, and one or two of the games completely knocked the other opposition off the park almost, So I think the zonal defending is the issue, because when players run away from the out of the area, they seem to be free. There was 2 goals. I mean, if you think about it, we played against Leicester on Tuesday, best side. They've won 12 out of 13 games, whatever it is. We only lost 1-0. It could have easily been a draw. Played against Stoke. We lost 2-1. They had a blatant goal that should have been disallowed. Barr missed the absolute sitter 1-on-1 with the keeper. Another day we could have won that game, So our first 11 seems to be canny. It's just the fringe players look nowhere near the pace of the game.
Aye, we've got nobody to come on and make the change. So against Stoke, and so who was your man of the match? Who kind of stood out, Jacob? Who would you give man of the match to against Stoke?
Difficult. Really difficult one. It's before, I don't know, to be honest. I thought obviously Clark, right place, right time for the goal. I think for his leadership qualities, because you're more or less watching the stream, you can hear him every time he's on the stream, like commanding his back line. Dan Ballard, really, really good performance. Bellingham, I thought, did quite well on Saturday personally, but I think his performance dropped a bit on Tuesday at Leicester, but I think that's just down to energy levels, really. I think he could do with a rest now, considering his age.
Yeah, I agree. It's who do you put in it? That's the thing. We've got that many centre midfielders out. Jack, man of the match for Stoke game. Who would you give it to? Would it have been the fans?
It's tough. Well, I was in the fans. I was in the 3000s. So yeah, maybe the fans. No, it was tough. Nobody really stood out. Nobody you could come away and thought he played really well. I think you get 7 or 8 out of 10 from Dan Ballard every week, so you could probably give it to him. He was sort of. I thought he actually got the better of the Stoke striker. You know what I mean? I thought he tends to do that most weeks. I find when Dan Ballard's going up on a duel against somebody, I think he does tend to get the better of them. And you know what you're going to get from him, and it's a 7 or an 8 out of 10 most weeks. He's solid. He's Mr. Dependable. So you could argue him, but I don't think any Sunderland player really played that well. Clark got the goal, but I don't think he was that. I've seen him play much, much better. So possibly Ballard, but it was tough.
Terry, would you agree with that?
Yeah, exactly the same. There's nobody stood out. Nobody really performed on the day. I mean, I think Dan Ballard's probably Mr. Consistent, isn't he? Even though I kind of watched their second goal after half time, and I thought there was a couple of players there that could have really did better. I think Ballard, one of them, could have done better. I thought he could have rose a bit higher. But like I say, it depends what instructions they are. They're not allowed to move off a fucking spot of a 50p piece on the floor. There, again, this should be like marking individuals, or even mark maybe a couple, because some of them, like Dan Ballard, could do probably. Watch a couple of players, where you get the flight of the ball that comes across and you can get in the right position. But yeah, I give it to Dan. He's the most consistent player on the pitch, and like I say, I'd be tempted to give him captaincy.
I think he's a future captain, whether it's with us or not, I'm not sure, but he will be a captain of some team moving forward. So, we then got to Leicester on Tuesday. Massive ask. They're flying. Everybody expects us to go there and get battered. But to be fair, we could have come from there with at least a point, I think. 2 changes. Burstow came in for Pritch and Neil came in for Barr. Dan Neil welcome back, and I think he's in the first half. Jack, I think Dan Neil proved why he's so important to us. You know, and he's took some criticism previously, you know, but for now he's got to be first name on the team sheet, and he was outstanding. I thought.
Yeah, he was excellent. He wasn't the only one that was excellent, though. I thought 3 or 4 of our players played really, really well in midweek. But Dan Neil was the best player on the, well, possibly Patterson, but the best outfield player on the pitch. He was constantly getting on the ball, and Leicester really didn't know how to handle him because he kept finding space, didn't he, and picking up the ball into their final third. And they're probably not used to that. We actually came at them on Tuesday night. We got on the ball, and we really took the game to them, and at times we were dominating, do you know what I mean? And it was just a case of, which I know we're going to touch on, we've already touched on putting the ball in the back of the net, and Dan Neil was at the heart of it. Every time we were attacking, he was the focal point in the middle. He was the one that was sort of dictating the tempo of the play, and it made me think for someone so young, really, it was, dare I say it, was a sort of almost like a Premier League performance. I thought it was excellent. But yeah, we really had a good go at them, and it's just, again, even more unfortunate that we didn't get that goal to take home what would have been a more than deserved draw.
Yeah, 100%. It was great to see. I see that Dan Neil's so important. Very quickly back in the chat, John Ruddock says Dak's a sick note. Bulldog Fitness says yes, Terry, Dak out. As we know, Mike's a very part of the Bradley Dak fan club. Rusty Mackham in Gran Canaria says doesn't matter who plays up, if there's no service to them, they all look crap. Keno says Dan Neil was tremendous, Roberts frustrating and product, and John Ruddock says Bellingham needs a rest. So Jacob, you know, Dan Neil tremendous in the first half. Patterson made some great saves, but we've already touched on Bellingham now. I agree with you. I think Bellingham looked tired on Tuesday, and I think it is time for him to come out. But what's your thoughts on that first half?
I mean, Wayne, the worrying thing is Bellingham comes out. Who comes in for him? Pritchard. Pritchard at the minute. I mean, should he be starting regardless? Pritchard. Yeah. That's how I find. I mean, Ekwa. I personally felt he may have rested Ekwa onto, considering he's just come back from injury from that dead leg. So he looked exhausted on Tuesday. I thought Pritchard, for a game like that with the experience he offers, I thought he might have been the option over Ekwa. He would have given Ekwa some minutes regardless, but I thought Pritchard, he did come on towards the end. But yeah, I think he may have done that. But, you know, it just shows how vital Ekwa is to this side. Bellingham, listen, I think for someone who's played a lot of minutes, for a 17-year-old lad, I think the first 45 minutes when he was on the ball, he wasn't too bad, but it was just like when Leicester had the ball, there were moments where he was a little bit frustrating. He wasn't watching his man. He wasn't, you know, aware of his positional play, particularly if you watch their goal back, the header from Justin, he lets Justin peel off him a little bit too easy from the corner that came in, but also the goal we conceded, like in the build-up to it that led to the corner, playing the ball out from the back 09, he carried the ball like a little bit too long before releasing the pass, and that allowed allowed Leicester to start the attack, which led to the corner. But yeah, the midfield at the minute, it's more a case of it's just drained of energy at this moment in time, and a few fans have said it on the socials. You know, we should have really got in another midfield player on the final day of the window, based on the fact that Dan Neil's the only all-round midfielder in that team, and they looked at Dak's injury record and you just knew that he wasn't going to be able to last a full season playing regularly.
Aye, you 100% agree. Aye, it's that's the worry is the fringe players like we've touched on, who's there for to come in. But Terry, you know, like Jake just been saying there about, you know, the midfield looking tired with Joby and what have you. Is that more of a reason that we should maybe switch to a back three and then play with wing backs to try and give the midfielders a bit of a hand?
I thought we were pretty good on Tuesday night, to be honest. I think we look good. I think Ekwa improved from Saturday. I think the 3 days off, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I think Ekwa will recover even more if he stays fit. I think him and Dan Neil in the centre are going to be a great partnership. I think, for me, Pritchard should start on Saturday and put Job to the bench, and then maybe bring Job on after 60 minutes when Pritchard's been out with steam. So I think against Leicester, I thought we really, really sort of held our own. We took it to Leicester. I mean, numerous fans have come on social medias and said how we're the best team they played against, and we're going to beat a lot of teams this season if we play like that. And to be fair, you know, you'll probably touch on it at some point, but we had a blatant Stonewall penalty, simple as. And again, how does the linesman not see that? Linesman's right in front of it, and he does absolutely nothing. It is pathetic, some of the decisions in this league. If it had been VAR in the Championship, 2 things would have definitely happened last 2 games. Stoke's goal being disallowed, we would have got a blatant penalty. I know we still got to score the penalty, and that would probably raise Leicester up a little bit. But at the end of the day, if we scored the goal, we were in a chance of getting a point, aren't we?
Yeah, and we'll touch on that. It was 100%. It was a penalty when they slowed down. Everybody in the Sky Studios, it was a penalty. You know, Keith Stroud, our old friend Keith Stroud, was he unsighted? I'm not too sure, but like Terry's right in line with it.
Yeah, I mean, where I was sat in the ground, it was difficult to fully see what was going on until we actually watched it on the screens at half time. We thought, wow, that's probably the most blatant penalty you'll ever see. It's just 3 games in a row now. We've had shocking refereeing decisions like this. This is my stamp and my prediction. This is the final Championship season where there'll be no VAR. I think it will come into place from the start of next season. In this league, personally, I think. But it won't. Some are saying after Christmas, but nah, I think if you're going to do it, have a full season. This will be the last year, and I think next season the FA will, well, hopefully, fingers crossed. I personally think it should be done now, but yeah, it's with the standard of what's going on, they need it down in this division.
Yeah, I mean, for me, from what I've seen this season, the linesmen are frightened for to make a decision. The wait for the ref to make a call, then they put the flag up. It's just baffling. Like Terry touched earlier on what they're getting paid for. Jack, you know, thoughts on the penalty? There was quite a few people saying, "Oh, it's because you know none of the Sunderland players appealed for it," but you shouldn't have to appeal for it. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty. Yeah,
it was a penalty. The lad didn't. What I couldn't understand was it's either a penalty or a goal kick. And I think, did he give a corner? He must have thought that the Leicester defender got his foot on the ball. Surely he either didn't get his foot on the ball and it's a goal kick because Dan Neil had the last touch, or it's a penalty. So to give a corner, not sure on how we work that one out. But I agree with the VAR call. I mean, people say, "Oh, it takes too long," and they get the wrong decisions anyway. I personally think if that gets VAR'd, they have a word with them and say, "Go and have a look at the monitor." He has a look at that, and he sees the contact. We get a penalty. We stick that away. We possibly come away with the 1-1, or even who knows. Positive head on, that might have changed the game in our favour, might have got confident, might have gone on to win 2-1. I mean, you never know these things, but it just seems like that's 3 games in a row now where it's not just little decisions, it's big decisions that have gone against us. The harsh red card with Dan Neil against Middlesbrough, the handball and the arguably penalty we should have had at Stoke, and then the penalty we should have had against Leicester on Tuesday night. That's 3 in a row that's cost us points. So they're meant to even themselves out. We always hear officials and managers and people saying, "Oh, they're even themselves out over the course of the season." Well, let's see if we get decisions in the next 3 games because we're due them. But yeah, I don't know how we missed it. I think I agree with what Terry says. You've got officials on that side that are just they're scared. They haven't got the bottle to give a decision because it's I might upset some of the home supporters. It's that's why you need strong officiating, and Keith Stroud's certainly not a strong referee. We all know that. So yeah, pathetic.
Aye, pathetic, and again, it potentially costs us again. We've got 91 people watching, counting on 38 likes, so smash that like button if you don't mind. Last 20 minutes of the show, so you won't get to 100. John Ruddick says Bellingham went missing in the second half. Jimmy Nesbitt says needed Ekwafa to do the defensive midfield role so Dan Neil could get forward. Glenn Jones says Leicester performance was a much improved in the Stoke game. Rusty Macklem agrees with you, Terry. Yes, Terry, Pritch on, Joby off. John Ruddick says another bad referee on Saturday. Backhouse. Kano says linesmen do need to step up to the plate more often. VAR would never have overturned Dan Neil sending off. On the other hand, Luke O'Neill with VAR might have had a few pens against him. And John Ruddick says we don't want VAR because they even get that wrong. You would think they've got more chance of getting things right.
Yeah, I think overall over the season with VAR, I think though the majority of the decisions are correct, and you get like more of a sort of a level playing field than at the moment. I mean, people say to me, "You complain about the referee all the time." I don't give a shit. I'm going to. If the shit is shit, I'll say it the way it is. You know, if we're getting robbed, which we've been getting robbed, I mean, there's not. I mean, I say if that Stoke goal got disallowed, we could have still lost. You know, fair dues, we could have. And if we got that penalty, we could have missed it, or Leicester could have went on 2-1. Isn't the point? You know, we want our fair share of the right decisions going our way and not just always backs against the wall.
Yeah, 100%. Jacob?
Yeah, obviously, let's not just say it's we're right now having really bad luck compared to a lot of other teams. It's just the standard across the country. I mean, obviously, you look at the VAR decision for the Spurs-Liverpool game, and also, I don't know if you saw, it's got shared on socials the past week or so. I think it was a League Two game, I think Port Vale, where this geezer runs into the box and gets absolutely cleaned out and ref gives nothing. It was one of the most laughable decisions I've ever seen. And it was a decision like that just sums up the standard in this country right now.
Shocking. Jack, did you want in there?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think there's too much riding on it now. Do you know what I mean? They say the Premier League's the most watched, interesting league in the world. I mean, it's sort of slightly scaling it up, but a team could not go up this season, could be denied automatic promotion by a decision, and then they go through the playoffs and lose in the playoffs, and that decision could potentially cost them over 100 million and development of the club and everything. So I think it's the Championship now is becoming bigger as the Premier League's becoming bigger, and the reward to get in the Premier League is getting richer and richer. So I think there's too much riding on it now to sort of say, you know, yeah. And I think also as well, touching on the standard of refereeing, I think the game's just getting too quick for some referees. I think the referees these days aren't fit enough. They aren't keeping up to date with the play enough. I mean, you see some of them, and you're thinking, there's no way you're keeping up with athletic professionals. And you're 20 yards behind the plate, and you've got linesmen on the side that are bottling decisions. So that, you know, I agree with what Jacob said. The standard of it's so poor now. Something needs to be addressed.
It is. And we thought getting in the Championship, you'd see a better standard. But to be fair, it's not today better than what League One was. Emma's just put a good point in the chat there. She's like I said, if we get VAR, it needs to be ex-players rather than these crap refs. Do you think that would make a difference if there were ex-players? Terry?
Well, what we need to do is not rotate the referees into the VAR situation. So 1 week you have refereeing, next week he's doing the VAR on the TV. You need to have special people who are especially doing the monitors week in, week out. So that's their job. You know, referees stay on the park and do your job as refereeing, and have people who see these situations week in, week out and can judge it on a regular basis. Who, you know, you got someone who's refereeing a game one time. Next time he's doing something in the VAR, you might just get confused what he's supposed to be fucking doing. You know, pardon me French, because they're not that clever, are they? I mean, they can't get a penalty decision right. So you've got to have, you know, you pay the money, you get some special people up there. That's their sole job, to sit there and monitor games throughout the whole of the season. And they're going to get better and better as they do it, as you do in any job. The more you do it, the better you get.
Good point, mate. Jack, thoughts on ex-players being on the VAR?
Possibly. I'm not sure whether the ex-players would want to go on the VAR. To be fair, I think some of them have got nice cushy jobs talking about football in the studio on Monday Night Football and stuff like that. Would it improve things? Possibly. I think I do like to hear sometimes the players giving their own opinion from the players' perspective on decisions. You know what I mean? Because we're obviously fans and we're obviously going to be slightly biased, sometimes very biased. But I often like to hear the likes of Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville talk about from the players' perspective and think, well, this is what the player would have done and this is how we've gone into that. And so you might get that, but I don't think the ex-players would want to do it. I think they've got far too cushy of a life. It's too much stress.
Too much money. Terry, did you want in there?
I would like to have somewhere when you're watching the game on Sky, where you can press a button and you have a referee cam instead, where you can listen to him, what he's saying, what the players are saying to him, how the game's going on, where the referee's effing and blinding and all. You know, just to hear what the situation is. That would be quite interesting, I would think.
The mics up in rugby, aren't they? In rugby, they've got mics, and I think sometimes as well, I'd like to see referees coming out afterwards doing interviews. I know people say, well, it's not going to solve anything, but just explain why they give it. You still might disagree with it. You might say, oh, no, that's completely wrong. But if the referee, I'd probably have a little bit more respect for him. He'd come out and went, from the angle I was at, it looked like the lad got the ball on the Dan Neil penalty. We know he didn't, but he says, I genuinely thought he did. And the linesman is closer than me and he didn't give it, so I can't give it. And then you might say, well, look, you completely got it wrong, but at least you can sort of understand it a little bit more. I don't know. It might not make a difference.
That's it. They put them on pedestals, don't they? So you kind of touch them. Jacob, thoughts on ex-refs being VAR?
Yeah, I mean, changes will be made regardless. I think the Liverpool-Tottenham decision, I think that was the final nail in the coffin. I think enough's enough now, and I think the FA are making steps to improve the decision making on the pitch, but it will come into play not straight away. It will take the next few, but possibly won't be in place until the start of next season. Obviously, they've implemented this big change in terms of the added time rule, but I think you could see even more bigger changes coming in the coming months, personally.
It needs that.
Yeah. And the Leicester game, what was all that about? 5 minutes stoppage time at the end. How was that even possible? 9 substitutions, 3 or 4 players lying around the pitch for 5 minutes. I don't really get it at all.
It's crazy, isn't it? You see, it's a lot of consistency all across the board. It's different from one game to the next. In the chat, Keno says, get your referees' badges applied for, lads. No game that referees, we should try it. We're not saying it's an easy job. We're not saying it's, that we're not as negative referees, but the fact is we just want to be fair. That's all we need. Just want to be fair.
And when the referees have a good game, not that it happens very much, but I'll come on here and I'll say I thought the ref had a good game. I think Terry and Jacob has. When we think the ref's done a good job, well, I'm more than happy to give him praise. I have said that this season. I think, forget which game it was earlier in the season, I said he was a good ref because he got all the decisions right, and we're not talking about him. You didn't see him, so yeah,
exactly. Terry.
Well, these referees, right? I mean, they choose to do this occupation. They choose to do this job. They want to be the best at what job they do, and they get paid the money for doing it in the Premier League and Championship. So, why shouldn't they be good at doing the job? If me and you, if we're now 20s again and we wanted to be referees, we'd want to do a high standard of the job. We wouldn't want to make any mistakes, make a mess up. We want to be, consistently level. So you're not going to referee a team you support anyway. Well, you shouldn't be allowed to. So, it's going to be, if I was a Sunderland fan, to come on as a Sunderland fan, I don't think they let us referee a Newcastle match, you know what I mean?
They wouldn't let Mark Clattenburg referee a time.
Exactly. So basically, you would referee teams that you weren't bothered about. So you want to do the job to the best of your ability.
The irony of that was, though, that some of the better refs were Clattenburg and that Anthony Taylor. I think he's a Newcastle fan as well, so we wouldn't get him. And I think Anthony Taylor's probably one of the better referees.
They're the best ones, aye. Oliver, aye. Very quickly then, before we move on to previewing Norwich at the weekend, man of the match, Jacob for Leicester.
Dan Neil, fantastic. We missed him big time for that Stoke game. If only he'd not been sent off against Borough, we probably would be in a higher league position right now. I'd still stand by if he'd stayed on the pitch. Second half, we would have gone on to win that game. Personally, I thought that first 45 minutes he was involved in that day, it was a brilliant performance up until the poor decision that he made himself. I know the ref was awful himself that day, but Dan Neil's bounced back with a fantastic performance against Premier League quality players. Let's put it this way. Yeah, that was a Premier League side that we came up against on Tuesday, and he looked like he'd been playing in the Prem himself for the past few years with that performance.
Definitely. David agrees with you, Dan Neil. Ryan McCormack says Patterson. Jack, I think it would have either been Patterson or Dan Neil. I wouldn't know. Patterson got it for his saves, but I thought Dan Neil, like Jacob, he was tremendous.
Yeah, I just want to correct myself. It was Michael Oliver, the referee I was thinking of. That's the Newcastle fan, not Anthony Taylor. I thought I got it wrong. Michael Oliver. He's done FIFA games and everything. Man of the match for me, I would have to give it to Dan Neil, but just be different to Jacob. I would say Patterson, because he made some really good saves, didn't he? That could have been it easily a 2-0, 3-0. Even though I thought we were good value for a point, Leicester created probably the more quality chances. We had the same amount, but they created, they were hitting the target a bit more, hit the post a couple of times, and if it wasn't for Patterson pulling off a few decent saves, that probably would have been 2 or 3, which would have been ridiculously harsh. So special mention for Anthony Patterson. He had a really, really good game.
Yeah. Terry, do you agree with that? Patterson and Dan Neil?
Well, I thought the whole team performed markedly better than the weekend, and I thought it was a much better performance. And like I say, Ballard, and you got likes of Dan Neil. Dan Neil was superb coming back in. But I'll give it to Patterson because, I thought Leicester was superb going forward. They could tell the quality all over the park. They're just physical athletes. They were just amazing going forward. Just their lack of sort of the killer instinct to put the ball in the back of the net, and obviously Patterson from making 4 or 5 absolutely tremendous saves. He's been getting a lot of stick over lately, Patterson, every now and again. So for me, it's time to give him a pat on the back because I thought it was definitely his best game of the season.
100%. I thought he's done really, really well. Like I say, it could have been good. I'm just pleased Jimmy Vardy wasn't playing, because if Vardy had them chances, it probably would have been 3 or 4.
He did nothing when he came on, by the way. I thought.
No, he didn't.
Partnership had him in his back pocket half the time. And same with.
He's finished.
But I want to give credit to Liverpool 9, because I mean, I know there was somebody to blame for the corner, and you could blame one or two people for the corner. But I thought, he put some meaty challenges in against Leicester, knocked some of their players off the ball, stood up and just got straight back on with it. That's what we need, a bit of fight from the players. And that's where I see why he's the leader in certain games, because he has got a bit of fight amongst them, He's just lacking a bit of height and obviously the skills of being a proper, really good central defender.
Yeah. Most of the game, to be fair, 09, he very rarely let Iheanacho past him. That's one thing, a good thing that Luke 09 did on Tuesday. I thought him and Ballard handled Iheanacho pretty well. It
was runners from midfield that was causing issues on Tuesday. But anyway, so we'll move on to Norwich now at the weekend. A team who are struggling for form. I think they've only won 2 games in 10. They've got loads of injuries as well, I think. So, but a stat that I got before the game, in the last 3 games, we've had 40 shots and only 13 on target. So based on that, Jack, team selection wise, what we're doing for the forward.
I think Bellingham needs to be given a rest. I thought he's looked leggy. He looked leggy on Tuesday night against Leicester. He didn't do much against Stoke, so he could probably do with sitting at one out. We're probably more likely to have a lot more of the ball on Saturday than we did on Tuesday night, even though we had a lot of the ball, but I think we're more likely to be dominating. So I think Pritchard will come in. Pritchard's very good at sort of slotting balls through in the final third and dictating in the final third. So Pritchard for Bellingham. I would probably be inclined to play Barr instead of Roberts as well. That's one change I'll make. I thought Roberts tried, but he held on the ball a little bit too long, which I'm always critical of him. And I thought he did it again on Tuesday night. He should have released a little bit earlier. He passed quite well, but I thought he dribbled himself into trouble a couple of times. So I'll probably go Barr in for Roberts. And then potentially, depending on, I want to give Burstow another chance, but I feel like he's probably had enough chances. So do you then mix it up front and maybe look at somebody like, I know Rushan's probably not going to be fit, and we've talked about him being a right winger. So is it maybe a chance for Semedo to start up front instead of Burstow and give him an hour? So those would probably be the changes I would make, and keep obviously Neil and Ekwa centre mid.
Nice one. I think I've got in my team, I've got Emir to be given a chance now. I don't think he will. I think it will be Burstow, but before we get to Terry's selection, Jacob, what would your changes be for Saturday? Based on we're getting all these shots, but we've got nobody to put the ball away.
Well, I think I mentioned this earlier on tonight. I think our best threat right now, whether you like it or not, is out wide. And I think if we have 2 good overlappers rather than just the one on the pitch in behind Clark and Roberts, I think it will make a big difference. So I think Sirkin should come back in. Huggins moves to right back, and then Hume drops to the bench. I think he won't change the centre-back partnership. I think he does like 09 a lot, and I do agree the players respond better when he's on the pitch, him alongside Ballard. Even though I think he could do with a rest, I don't think there's anyone else really that can come in for him. And I think Barr, if you're going to play, you either play him. The only way Barr can play in the team right now is out wide, and even there, when he had that opportunity that he scuffed on Tuesday, I think personally what I think he will do and what I think he should do, I think in terms of our attacking options, he won't go with a striker, no, Mowbray. He won't. I think he'll play Clark as the main central one. Roberts will keep his place, and I think he'll play Pritchard in the front 3, but on the left. And I think Bellingham will keep his place in the side simply because of Dak not being fully fit at the moment.
Aye, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Me personally, I would drop Roberts. I think Roberts is at the moment is just so frustrating, like he always is. I think there was a stat for to say he had 12 successful dribbles in the game on Tuesday. But then my response to that was, what did he do with us? He beat him 12 times, but then gone back and try and beat him again, or run into trouble, or run the ball out of play. So, Terry, what team have you gone for the weekend?
I think we're just looking too much into it, to be fair. I think if you look at the facts on Tuesday, we played against a team that's won 12 out of 13 games. That's probably going to walk away with the league. that's got a bunch of Premier League players and a different class. I think you won't change anything. I think you'll keep it exactly the same. I think you'll start Burstow. I think Bar will be on the bench. I think I'm being impressed with Bar last couple of games anyway. I think his couple of chances he's had to put the ball in the back of the net, he's just completely mucked it up, big style. So I think he'll not make any changes. I personally would start Pritchard and drop Joe up to the bench, but I can't see that happening either. So I think it'll be the same again. And I think, they'd be thinking, well, if we can do one or two things differently against a team that's nowhere near as good as Leicester, I mean, yes, okay, they might have only won 2 in so many games. I mean, I think they've won 1, 2. They've won 1. They've won 1 in 6 games?
That was Birmingham. They beat Birmingham, didn't they? 1-0.
Beat Birmingham 2-0, I think it was 2-0. They lost to Plymouth 6-2. They lost to Leicester 2-0. Lost to Swansea 2-1. Lost to Borough 2-1 and drew against Coventry. So I think he'll keep the same team as he did on Tuesday. But it's teams like Norwich who come up to Sunderland Stadium of Light, and it'll probably do us over. We did against Coventry, did the same. Cardiff did the same. So we really need to get a point, or at least we need a victory. To be fair, we really need to get back to winning ways. But I feel the worst, honestly, do.
I think I'm the same. I've got a bad feeling. Jacob,
the main change I would say also is to be a tactical one. I think, like what we've said the past couple of times when we've been defending corners, it's been zonal marking. We need to go back to man marking. I think personally, because right now I think that's us getting undone by physical opposition, physical attacking opposition.
Aye, it might not be a bad show, but we know Tony Mowbray is stubborn. Last 5 minutes of the show, we've got 51 likes, so let's see if we can get another 20 likes before we finish. We've got 85 people watching. Terry?
Yeah, I think he's going to just constantly persist with Burstow, and I don't think Rushan, Mienda, Semedo are not going to give him this season. I think he's going to probably just prove a point, and then want their board to spend some of that money off Stewart in the January window and buy in a decent striker.
That's what we need. But Jack's put a comment in the chat there, so I'll be just very quickly before we finish. We'll do score predictions. Score predictions, Jack.
I think it's a point. It ends that bad run, but I think we really need to be looking for a win. I think it'll be scrappy. I don't think we'll play all that well, but I think we'll do just enough to get over the line. 1-0, probably 1-0 Sunderland.
Yep. Jacob.
I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet, unfortunately, the way we've been defending right now. But I've always got to back us with my favourite scoreline, 2-1. But like Terry said, I'm not confident.
No, Terry. I'm not at all. Terry, your score prediction for Saturday?
Yeah, my head feels the worst, but my heart's going to go with 3-1 win.
3-1, nice one. I've gone for 1-0 as well. I just think it'll be a very nervy, edgy game, and the longer it goes on, like we're saying time and time again at the stadium, the longer we don't get a goal, crowd get nervous. Terry?
Yeah, I want to say I think we were treated to some really good young purchases last season with bringing a Madden on loan, having the young lad from PSG, and then a couple of other ones all performing really well. I think this season's is probably most of them need another season before they actually even get in the side.
Yeah, 100%. So Jack's put in there, is Tony Mowbray under pressure if we lose? If we lose on Saturday, is Tony Mowbray under pressure, do you think, Jacob?
I don't think so personally. Okay. I think he's got the backing of the board, but it will be interesting to see, because it's funny how results can change fans' opinions of you. 3 or 4 weeks ago, he was singing Tony Fantastico coming out of Hillsborough, and now there's suddenly people starting to question the results and question the long term and his substitutions and his tactics. And it's funny how a few results can sort of turn things on the head. And I think I've said it early in the season. I think sometimes a level head's needed, isn't it? We won a couple of games. We're not the best team in the league, and we've lost 2 or 3. We're not the worst team in the league either. So I think he's good for at least another few more weeks at least. But I think it's interesting that how quickly things can change, and a lot of fans do want him gone. I've heard a few saying he's taken us as far as he can. So it's interesting.
I've heard that as well. I've heard a few on social media. Jacob, do you think he's under pressure if we get beat at the weekend?
Me personally, I know. Listen, the home crowd is very different to the ones you get away from home. It can be an antagonising place to be, especially if you're. Previous managers who've been at our club said when the team's not doing well, it's the worst place to be. But I think, listen, I've more than enough capability to turn it around. I know we're we're in a bad patch at the minute. The team is not as strong as what it was last season. Is that all Mowbray's fault? For me, the answer is no. Personally, you've got to look at the recruitment model in place. I think it is an easy target to blame Tony for what has been going on. But listen, it's just a recent run of form. Remember that period in September, we won 3 in a row. We've just lost 3 in a row. It's time for us to obviously respond with a good run. Again, obviously, you look at what Borough did. Obviously, had a poor start, and now they're above us in the league. So it can be easily done, mate.
Yeah, Leeds as well. Another one who started off poor, now they're third. So Terry, is he under pressure? Do you think?
Not after this weekend's match, no. But I think if we go on another couple of defeats, 2 or 3 defeats, then yes, I think he will do. I think they'll have their own. I think deep down under everything, I think the owners have got their own ideas of where they want to go, and I think they've had to back Tony. But I think if it goes pear-shaped next 3 or 4 games, I think his time's up. Like.
No, I think I hope not.
I hope not.
Jack, did you want in there?
I was just going to say, I think really I agree with Terry's point. I think they've always had their own man, and I think they're probably what happened at 4 weeks into last season. Manager goes, and they've appointed Tony Mowbray as a bit of a stopgap, and he's actually done better than they've expected. So they thought we'll just keep it going. But I think for now he's got the back end of the board. But it'll be interesting to see. I think a few more results could change everything. It's yeah.
It's strange how football works, isn't it? Jacob?
You also remember that period towards the end of last season where we were linked with that lad coming in from Turkey? Yeah, and obviously people thought, really, who's this? Inexperienced, but you only have to look at the job he's currently doing at this moment in time. Was that one that we potentially missed out on?
Well, if you remember, a couple of years ago, I think it might have even been Michael Bridges when he was in Australia tried to get us Ange Postecoglou, and we turned him down. Apparently, now look where he is now.
What's that guy doing? Like Jacob, I haven't kept up with what's going on.
I think he's in. Wayne, correct me if I'm wrong. Is he in the French league at the minute? I can't remember.
I think he is. I think he's doing really, really well though.
I think the team he has are quite. It was tipped as quite mediocre at the start of the season, but I think they're in the position, like second or third. We'll
see. Time will tell. Anyway, quickly back in the chat. Probably Mickey Max says, "Come on, lads, make the show another half an hour." She's got them with the alone. Mickey Mac clapping his hands, and that's pretty much it. Mickey Stewart says Sunderland win 2-0. John Nesbitt 2-0 Saturday as well. So let's hope we can get back into. Yes, Jabe.
It was Francesco Ferroli that we were linked with towards the back end of last season, and now he is currently manager at Nice. That was it. Yeah, Nice have started very, very well this season.
Well, apparently it was pretty much a done deal. Apparently they've gone behind Mowbray's back and got him in. But anyway, we've overrun again. So thank you very much for everybody who's tuned in. Thank you very much for everybody who's commented. Jacob, do you want to say final farewells?
Yeah, final farewells as I normally do. Good luck to whoever's going to the Norwich game at the weekend. As I always say, keep the faith. And also I want to say rest in peace, a great servant to the North East, Sir Bobby Charlton, mate.
Nice one. Terry, you want to see if Taraz?
Yeah. So, thank you everybody for coming on the channel. Thanks for all your likes and input in the comments and everything. Because like I said, like Jack always says, if it wasn't for you, we'd be talking to ourselves. But it's a big game on Saturday, isn't it? Hope Ekwa and Dan Neil provide a brilliant partnership, because if Ekwa gets back to his best and Dan Neil's improving the way he is, that could be the key for me. Like, but anyway, good night, everybody.
100%. Cheers, Terry. And last but not least, Jack.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. As Terry's already said, you make the show, really, the people watching and commenting. But hopefully we put an end to this horrible run we're on. 3 points, and we're going home smiling on Saturday. See everybody later, lads and misses.
Fingers crossed. Cheers, Jack. So, let's see, watch out for the SAFC Fan TV Extra Time podcast that'll be out on Sunday or Monday. We'll be back again with SAFC Fan TV Thursday Night Live next week. If you are a member, you will see your name on the credits at the end of the show. Don't forget to head across to Toft as well. like Jacob's got his top on there for your 15% discount. And until the next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Ta-ra.